Thank you very much. Profile of Mr. Gilbert Borketey Boyefio. Mr. Presiding Officers, Mr. Gilbert Borketey Boyefio serves as a Programs Manager at the Parliamentary Network Africa, where he leads innovative programs that promote civic participation, governance, and policy development among the youth. A seasoned development practitioner and media professional, he is passionate about empowering young people with knowledge and tools to influence the democratic process. His work at the Parliamentary Network Africa has significantly advanced youth policy advocacy and capacity building across Ghana and beyond. Mr. Presiding Officers, may I now invite Mr. Gilbert Borketey Boyefio to speak to this special joint sitting in the commemoration of our 4th anniversary. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. Hello? Yeah. Okay. So I think I just have to follow suit with what the previous speakers did to stand on the existing protocols. And again, I just want to take inspiration from all the previous speakers. They said some few things that resonate with me personally. So what I'll do is that as I go along the presentation, I'll digress a little bit to touch on some few things that came up from their presentation. However, I don't intend to also keep long. I think the day is far gone, and I understand after this session, there's going to be a last session before we leave. So I'll try and be quick with my presentation. But I bring you warm greetings from the staff and management of Parliamentary Network Africa and also the leadership of the National Mock Parliament. But before I go on, let me give you a little brief about Parliamentary Network Africa. And that is also because of the story Madame shared with us. Madame's story is about being resilient, persevering, and not giving up. And these three things also resound very well with Parliamentary Network Africa. I must say that at Parliamentary Network Africa, I am among the oldest of the organization. So you can imagine, it's a young, driven organization. And I like saying this because all of us here has the potential to do something for themselves. Today, as I speak, Parliamentary Network Africa, we have a working relationship with the Pan-African Parliament, the ECOWAS Parliament, and we are working with a series of national parliaments in Africa. Last 2 years, I was assigned to the Parliament of Gambia. So I was in Gambia for almost a year, working with their national parliament, their media and civil society organization. So it's something that started small with young people, but today it's one of the most sought after parliamentary monitoring organizations in the world. And our executive director used to be one of you. Young, vibrant, student politics is his baby. And he had a national service in parliament. And I saw the opportunity that so many things happen in parliament that we are not aware about. I mean, all that we know about parliament is the politics, the scandals, but parliament is more than that. And around that time, my background is into journalism. I've done journalism for the past 15 years. So it came to me around that time, we were already running another publication called University. So it came to me to say that, my guy, let's do something for parliament. So, okay, let's give it a shot. And so we started the first ever newspaper purposely for Ghana's parliament called Parliamentary Newspaper. And when we started, we had issues with the powers that be with Parliament. Because a lot of people think that Parliament is a sacred place. You can't just come in and do what you want. I mean, we had challenges, but we were fortunate because some of the leadership, including then Speaker Jaho, saw what we were trying to do. And so we had eventually unfettered access. And when the departmental heads started to realize what we are doing, because it is through the parliamentary newspaper that people now start realizing what the Hansa department is about, what the in fact, even the public, educating them about voting proceedings, other paper, the agenda. These are things that under normal circumstances you don't get anyone teaching you about. And for some of you here, if it's not for this platform that has been provided, these terms will be foreign terms to you. And so it's one of the reasons why we have to be very appreciative of platforms like this. Our national civic education system is not working as it's supposed to be. If it is, some of these things are the things that they are supposed to be doing. And so, really, we need to appreciate institutions like the YIP and other organizations out there who are mobilizing young Ghanaians and giving them the education about governance and making them part of the governance process in Ghana. So, like I said, I'll be digressing in and out from my main presentation. But I thought from the inspiration and from where Madam ended that I share this small story with you, which means that tomorrow the next big thing could be seated here. The next big organization, the founder could be seated here. So don't give up, and don't also see this opportunity as just coming around to do just as our MPs do, shout yeah and go back home. But as we are seated here, and as you see the opportunities that are being created by the organization, you take advantage of that. Who knows? We may get the next big thing from here. So I go back to my presentation. So today we gather to celebrate a significant milestone: 4 years of nurturing young and vibrant minds, equipping them with skills, knowledge, and values essential for leadership. I say kudos to the leadership of the Youth Impact Parliament for coming this far. The persistent underrepresentation of youth and women in Ghana's political landscape, especially in parliamentary democracy, is a critical issue with significant ramifications. Traditionally, young people's involvement, especially during elections, has been relegated to roles like campaign volunteers or foot soldiers, including tagging in political parties. Women face even greater challenges, struggling to secure positions beyond the designated women's organizer role within political parties, let alone parliament. This systematic discrimination has fostered apathy towards governance and the rule of law among many young people, particularly due to the hurdles they face transitioning from student political engagement to mainstream civic participation. These hurdles include the rising financial demands of political activities, a lack of mentorship and support networks, and absence of policies specifically promoting youth and women inclusion in matters of parliamentary democracy and engagement. Deep-seated cultural norms often work against women's involvement, while the rising financial demands of political participation create a barrier for young and female parliamentary candidates. The lack of established networks and mentors leave them feeling isolated, further compounded by the absence of policies specifically supporting their inclusion. Unequal access to legislative education and resources within widens the gap, making it harder for them to develop necessary skills and knowledge for impactful engagement in management of parliament. Now, let me digress a little bit here. 2 years ago, no, more than 2 years ago, we had opportunity to organize a town hall meeting for Honorable Jifa Gomeshi. I think that was in Keta or Ketu. I keep for Ketu South, yeah. And during the engagement, one of the women participants shared a story with us, the challenges she faced when she attempted to volunteer herself for get involved into politics. Her own husband discouraged her because he goes to town and people are talking. And in our part of the world, insult is part of politics. Very unfortunate. But he goes to the market and people are insulting the wife, and the insult is extended to him. He has not done anyone anything, but they are just insulting left and right. And so he felt like, no, this is not something you have to get yourself involved in. And so he started discouraging her. And so at a point in time, she got fed up. And so she gave up. There were other stories like that. Other stories where families have discouraged their daughters, their sisters to go into politics. And it's one of the reasons why now in Ghana's parliament, we have the numbers that we have. Obviously, finances is also another big issue because the men most of the time happens to have the larger and the women struggle. If you don't have a godfather or a godmother somewhere, you're really going to struggle to make it by yourself into politics. And these are things that we need to be talking about. And Your Excellency and then Mr. Speaker, I think that when the Parliament meets and then the Senate meets, I want to propose that these are some of the issues that we should start talking about at this particular stage, to start coming up with ideas and suggestions and solutions in encouraging the girl child to actively participate in governance, to be actively involved in politics. Politics is not the reserves of only the mayor. Politics is for all of us. And indeed, if you look at the few females that have risen to the highest position in the world, talk about Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, talk about, in the US, we used to have one of their, I've forgotten her name, I think Mary something something, some Albright or something. Yes. You realize that during their tenure of office, things were a bit different. When women are in the helm of affairs, they take decisions with passion. They take decisions with that motherly understanding of things. Where men will want to take decisions with egos. And in fact, people say that if we have more women in the helm of affairs, a lot of the wars that are going on in this world will not be going on, because men would always want to take decisions with egos, with I want to show you that I have the power, whilst women perhaps will be looking at their children. How will this decision affect my child? And that alone can help us to solve a lot of the issues we have in this world. So let me also go back to my presentation. Like I said, I will be digressing a little bit from the presentation once in a while. So at PN Africa, we have had various interactions with young people across Ghana. We've had interactions with the Graduate Student Association of Ghana, GRASAC, the Political Science Student Association, POSA, and women group within through our gender advocacy to parliament projects. These interactions revealed a sense of rejection among young individuals eager to contribute to parliamentary processes, citing barriers such as limited knowledge of legislative procedures and practices, and challenges in finding appropriate channels for addressing concerns and contributing to parliamentary processes. Now, our work with the Parliament of Ghana has now resulted in Parliament now setting up the Citizens Bureau, which now makes it much more easier for you and I to engage with the Parliament of Ghana. One of the things that at PN Africa we've also noticed is that there is no school anywhere in the world that trains you to be a member of Parliament. There's no school like that. The closest you can have is to go and do political science, and that is even not looking at the bigger picture. And so platforms like this is a beginning of learning how to be a member of parliament. The recent engagement that we had, that was the National Youth Mock Parliament that we had last year. And we were privileged to have His Excellency, the President of the Senate, and then the Speaker of the Parliament joining us. They were members of the National Youth Mock Parliament. One of the things that we realize is also that our young people keep learning from the quote and unquote, the bad practices of our mainstream parliament. And we really had a difficult time trying to disabuse their minds as to what parliamentary discourse should look like. And I want to take this opportunity to re-emphasize that particular point because I see young, vibrant politicians before me. And to be frank with you, nation building does not mean that we always have to fight against each other's ideas. It's about saying that we want to go to Accra and we have two routes to go into Accra. I say I want to take the northern route. You say you want to take the eastern route. And so we want to see which of the route is best suited to project Ghana, and not a political party. Ghana should be the main focus. Unfortunately, in our political discourse, we always find and we realize that people take certain positions that are not in the interest of this country, but are in the interest of a political party. And that is very unfortunate. And so as young people, as we are building ourselves, and eventually some of you finding yourself in our national parliament, we are appealing to you. Let the country be the first focus. Let the country be the utmost agenda on your mind. Patriotism is not something that just come by. Patriotism is something that we have to yearn for and fight for and embrace as young people. Now, let me quickly jump my presentation because if I have to go through the entire presentation, it's going to take a lot of time. But let me indicate that as we are working with young organizations like yours, we are also working with Parliament itself. This year, about 2 months ago, we organized a strategic meeting for the Young Parliamentarian Forum and then the Women Caucus in Parliament, all in an effort to re-strategize the caucuses and also structure them in a way that they will be more impactful. One of the ideas in doing that, I think Madam mentioned mentorship, my senior man also mentioned mentorship. And they are the best people to give us that kind of mentorship because they are there, they've done it, they are doing it. And so they are the best people to share ideas with us and inspire us to be like them one day. In fact, I think when Our Lady in her recital was touting about Senator and Joycelyn and the others. So these are people that can inspire us. But they can only do this when someone brings their attention to that. There are so many work. I mean, the various committees that they belong to has a lot of work before them. And so sometimes they lose sight of some of these things. And so we are working with them to ensure that they are able to have time for young people and mentor them to be the best politicians that they can be. As we look forward to the future, we are committed to continuing this journey. Now, we intend to doing 4 major things. We intend to refine our programs to address emerging challenges and opportunities. And here, let me also digress a little bit. One of the things that we need to be aware of, we need to be very much aware of the geopolitics going on around us. And for me, I think these are discussions that young people now need to be championing this discussion. Because if we say that we are the future leaders, and I'm not talking about only Ghana, I'm talking about Africa. Africa currently is at a crossroads, and we need young minds to lead us into the next generation. We are talking about Agenda 2063 as the major goal for the AU. How many of us here know about Agenda 2063? How many of us have heard about Agenda 2063? That is a problem with our leaders. We are talking about Agenda 2063 when at that time most of them will be dead. And yet, the people who may carry this agenda are not even aware about that agenda. So this is a time that we need to be brought to the table in discussing issues that you and I have to be dealing with. Agenda 2063. How many of our leaders will be alive by 2063? And yet, they are the people who know about Agenda 2063. So it means that by the time you and I perhaps will take the helms of affairs of this country, we have no clue as to where we are going as a continent and as a country. And so it's about time that when we are taking major decisions that affect our country, that affect our continent, we bring the youth to the table. Now, the reason why I'm talking about geopolitics, we are having issues with the influence of France, the influence of the US, the influence of China, the influence of Russia in Africa. And for us, as a continent, we don't have a major focus, a united focus. And so these powers influence whatever happens on our continent. The question that I want to ask us, which I want us to think about, is do we want our future to be determined by foreign powers, or do we want to have our future in our own hands? I want to repeat the question. Do we want our future to be determined by foreign forces, or do we want to have our future in our own hands? So we need to start a discussion now. We have to find ways. All places where these discussions are having, we have to be part of it. Because today, countries are signing off their natural resources to other foreign countries. And so today, when you and I become leaders, what resources are we going to work with? No, I am just trying to draw attention to critical issues that we may not have thought about or have not started thinking about. It's about our future. As long as we are seated there, we are doing yeah. We only get there, we realize that there's nothing for us. So now, when we meet, in fact, I don't know the decisions that are taken here where it gets to, but I will be proposing that whenever you meet and you take decisions, submit copies to your local district assemblies. If possible, submit copies to the Parliament of Ghana. Let them know what you are thinking about and the things that are of importance to you. Because unfortunately, the number of people there that we can call youth are limited. And so, who is speaking on your behalf there? If there are no people there speaking on your behalf, then we have to find other channels to let them know what is on your mind. There are bigger issues to talk about, and we need to be aware about these issues. The second issue is about democracy. Now, there are discussions as to whether the democracy, as we are practicing it now, is good for Africa or not. There's a huge discussion going on out there that the democracy as we know it, is it good for Africa or not? So if we have to amend whatever we call democracy, are youth voices going to count in there? Or is it still going to be the elderly people who sit and think that this is the best way for us as Africa? So I'm challenging all of us. Wherever you hear they are having major discussions, let's find ways. In fact, if they don't invite us, let's go and sit outside. When they come out, you say, okay, we also want to say our own. The Arab Spring, Arab Stream, or what they call it, when it started and it changed various governments in the northern part of Africa, right? The people behind it are young, vibrant people like you and I. Because enough is enough. There have to be a turning point. So I'm saying that your sitting here goes beyond what you think. Goes beyond coming to say yeah, yeah, and going back. This is more like a revolution, but a positive revolution. You have a platform of people from various campuses, from various towns and regions. In a way, this is Ghana. And so you need to be talking about hard stuff. Let me go back to my presentation, and sorry for my keeping digressing from the main point. Now, we also want to expand our reach, engage more young people from diverse backgrounds. And under normal circumstance, at Parliamentary Network Africa, we engage at the national and then the international level. We hardly do grassroots engagement. But we've realized that there is huge lack of knowledge about Parliament and what happens in Parliament. In fact, in some places, what their MPs tells them is what they believe, because he is the one that goes and comes and tells them. So even if that MP is the one that has been sleeping on the floor of Parliament, if he goes back and tells them this is what happened, that is what they will take it to be. And we need to change that narrative. And Mr. President and Mr. Speaker, I think one of the things that perhaps we should be doing is public education. Going out there to the schools, to the villages, to train them about what Parliament is and what Parliament is not. In fact, the lack of knowledge about Parliament has resulted in most times us electing people to Parliament that are not supposed to be there. And let me state and emphasize, if someone comes to tell you that when you elect me as a member of Parliament, I'm going to build road, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, the guy doesn't know what he's going to do in Parliament. Unfortunately, that's what has been happening. And that people don't know. Then when we elect them, they come and tell us that's not my job. So, Mr. President, I think that these are some of the discussions that we should be going out there to teach our people. So then during election time, the moment the person starts, we know, this guy, he doesn't know what he's going to do there. It is very, very important, because the kind of leaders that go there will also reflect on the kind of laws and the kind of oversight that we receive as a country. So that is very, very important. And we should also be finding resources to encourage some of the people seated here, sponsor them to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, that is also very important. And touching on that, perhaps that is where I will make an appeal to the National Youth Authority. Because you see, mobilization like this takes a lot of money, takes a lot of resources. And I believe that within the budget of the National Youth Authority, you may have something small for your activities and programs. I will encourage you that you factor programs like this as part of your budget. So at least you support this work. Because under normal circumstance, we would have expected that is the National Youth Authority organizing a platform like this. But young people have come together to organize it. So they are doing part of your work for you. And so the only thing you can do is also find resources to support the work. at least what I've seen so far and the things that they've asked so far are not anything beyond the National Youth Authority to do. And the activities they want to do, even the proposal from you that they should be going to the secondary schools and educating them, these are things that under normal circumstance falls within, squarely within the National Youth Authority's scope. And so partner them to partner you to work. And they've already started the work. What they need is your push. Yes. I'm sure you are smiling because you also know that this guy doesn't know what he's talking. Yeah. The money. Yeah. It is exactly what we are doing. Yeah. Yeah. So we are just pleading for more partnership. That now will include Kudi, because the Kudi is very important. Okay. Now there is something that we also want to do. We want to foster global partnerships, facilitating knowledge sharing and collaboration. At the last National Mock Parliament, one of the things that we discussed is to adopt the Gambian Youth Parliament model. Now, the Gambian Youth Parliament, their model is so sweet. The Gambian Youth Parliament is acknowledged by the Parliament. The kind of acknowledgement that we have here and we are excited about it is not enough. I'm sure someone will say, what is this guy talking about? The acknowledgement from Parliament is not enough. The Gambian Youth Parliament has part of the calendar of the Parliament itself. So when the Parliament goes on recess, there is a period that the Youth Parliament also sits in Parliament. Hello? They sit in Parliament too, not in Assembly Hall. They sit in Parliament. Their president, the speaker, sit on the seat of the speaker. The MP sit on the seat of the various members of Parliament. They have full parliamentary proceedings for about a week or two. And the outcome of that sitting is included in the proceedings of Parliament as the decisions. And this is where, for us at Parliamentary Network, we think that we should be aiming at. We need to get Ghana's Parliament to also adopt that model. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it will eventually happen if we put our energies together. And that is why it's also very important to bring all the various parliament, youth models, whatever parliament is out there, to bring them together. And so what we did is to bring the National Youth Authority Parliament, brought all the people from the other regions. We also brought together the student parliament model that is being pioneered by the Ghana's Parliament, and then also the YIP, which does not necessarily fall under any of these two structures, to bring all of them together, right? So the ultimate thing is to eventually get Ghana's Parliament to adopt that model. And so this year and hopefully next year, we are planning to have an exchange program with the Youth Parliament of Gambia, and to learn from their model, how they went about it, how they even got their national parliament to agree to make them part of the system. And this is something we also intend to do with, it's not only the Gambian parliament that has a similar model. We want to learn from other jurisdictions, even outside Ghana. And so we are looking for the resources. And when we have the resources, it is these same members of the National Mock Parliament that will attend these exchange programs to go and learn and come back and then teach our other various parliaments as we have them. So in conclusion, to all of us here, I say your potential is limitless. Continue to dream big, innovate, and lead with a purpose. Your generation will shape the future, and we are proud to support your journey. Thank you.